Alright, welcome to another day of Ether Raids. We're taking on Aaron today, and this is a brand new team that we're going to try out. Last week I was basically just telling you about how I've been trying out a couple of Vantage options, and this is basically what I've settled on. Well, I'm not really settled on. I'm not even like happy with this team in the slightest. I'll probably just use it like for the earlier tiers and then drop it later on in the week because it doesn't do very well against most things. But I just want to show off what it looks like in principle. So this Lysithea here is really for the reciprocal aid. If you have Brave Lysithea, you can use her too, or pretty much any unit that enables the one chip damage. The Bernies, the Lysitheas. I don't think there are any other units that really do that though. So yeah, those units are pretty much mandatory. If you don't have one of those, then you probably can't do this as effectively. You can, however, rely on bolt traps, which we just so happen to be in range of a bolt trap for this match in particular, so I can probably try to make it work here. But it's really 50-50 as to whether or not you get bolt traps. And to be honest, in the higher tiers of Ether Raids, most players have really just disregarded the bolt trap and removed it for the hex trap because it really does more harm than good. I could see with the exception of Dark Season where you have Medius on the defense team, but if you're putting your enemy in vantage range, it's usually not a good thing. Unless you're giving them, unless it's like the 50 bolt trap, but even then, it's probably just not a good thing because this unit that I'm using here for the Vantage strategy, Rebecca, baby Rebecca, her weapon doesn't have any HP conditions, so being at 1 HP really doesn't matter to her. You probably don't, I personally don't like it. I think that's very unsafe, but then again, 75 versus 1, it's still the same thing. You're probably going to die in a hit because no DR. But Rebecca does have DR, so she can probably live a hit against certain things. So it makes sense if she's at 75 HP. It can work. But for this one, we're going to test out the bolt traps. If it's a 50, it's going to be kind of bad because it's going to be hard to just set everything up, which is why I put Plumeria, rearm Plumeria where she is, because she has so much HP. I should probably equip her and give her the extra 5 HP. That would be what, 69? Nice. And then even to 50, she would have 19, which is a better amount than 5 HP. I mean, I could probably give her like the HP seal and drop the attack res in her A slot. HP of 5, that's 20, that's 5 more, 24. That's a little bit more respectable. I could probably work with 24. That's something I'll consider, but the reciprocal aid, the reciprocal aid that I have on this Lysithea is very important. You really need the reciprocal aid. If you don't have the reciprocal aid, again, you might just not be able to do this. There's so many moving parts to this that just makes this strategy overall just what's the word, undesirable in comparison to, all right, nice, so we got the real bolt trap there, so we can probably try to move this around and try to get this to work. But I was saying, in comparison to Fallen Violet's Vantage and in comparison to Brave Mart's Vantage, this just takes way too much work to set up. It is understandable because it's such a strong strategy, and even in comparison to Ninja Camilla's Vantage, this is just far inferior. It's nowhere near as good in terms of how much you need to set up. You need you need to be able to pierce. Ultimately, what the strategy is being able to one-hit KO any ranged nuke that attacks you. Preferably, you'd also want to be able to one-hit KO melee units as well, but that's a lot harder to set up. especially when you're using ranged tanks. And the reason that I go with ranged tanks is because ranged units have access to... Alright, most ranged units have... I guess it's a fair statement to say that ranged units have access to like Deadeye, lethality, stuff like that. Whereas infantry units like one range aren't really able to pierce DR. Unless you're going to equip Special Spiral, but then if you're equipping Special Spiral, then you can't run Vantage. So yeah, you basically can't do the entire strategy because of that one thing. Another unit that does this well is Ascended Air, because she has that miracle effect, so it's a lot easier to... But Air has a 25% HP condition in her weapon, so it's a little bit tricky. And she would have to run lethality, and lethality is a bit harder to proc because of the 4 cooldown, which is why I chose archers and Rebecca here, because Deadeye. And also Air can't run what's that skill called? Times Pulse 4, which is very, very important.
Good morning.
For this to work, you really need the Times Pulse 4 here, which is another reason why Robin is here, because he does give that special acceleration, just in case I mess up or there's some type of pulse mode that reduces your special cooldown by 1. Which is another reason that this strategy can sometimes fail, because if there's a pulse die, you pretty much can't do this. Because you're going to lose your special, and the entire thing kind of revolves around having your special up. I mean, Times Pulse 4 will, give you... Pulse die removes 2 cooldown, so I guess if you get back 1... Well, I don't think you're going to get the 1 back from Times Pulse 4, because Deadeye is a 3 cooldown special, and a lot of it comes from Rebecca's weapon, the Slain, which is why I have Asker here, so we just get an extra cooldown as well. Although it doesn't really matter, because essentially Baby Rebecca is perfect for this, and I just so happen to have her. So this is something that you want to try, that if you would like to try, it's going to look something like this. The Panic Manor is a little bit annoying because, well, currently I'm not buffed, but to get up there I'm going to get buffed. Get ripped. But Peony's, that's where Peony comes in, and she's going to be able to remove any debuffs. So ultimately, we want to 1-round all of the range units. My biggest concern is if any of the melee units warp down, but I don't foresee that happening unless Embla does something weird, or if Cordelia, like let's say Embla goes max range and then Cordelia warps in, then there's a problem there. But let's hope that doesn't happen. And I mean, even if it does happen, this is really just like for demonstrations. I don't foresee myself using this game further on throughout the week, because it's too much. It's really too much. Just to set it up, it's a lot of work. And there's the reciprocal aid, there's the dance. I'm trying to get into position here. We're gonna need a dance from Peony just to move her out of range of melee threats. Well, potentially, because warping is still a thing. But we're gonna do the dance here, and then put her right below the Panic Manor. So hopefully the range units should move first, because they do a lot of damage. Baby Rebecca is just that good of a unit. I think she'd probably be able to live that if she had full HP and some buffs, but yeah, we're just gonna put Baby Rebecca here, and then we're gonna see what happens. Should I put Asker here? Where'd I put Asker? It'll be good to have the shield and for the next turn. In the event that she survives, well, she will survive. It's just, I don't know. I don't want to not have some of my stuff.
I agree.
Just to get out of here, But let's do this. There's the panic, but Peony, so it doesn't matter. Oh man. That's so dumb of me. I totally forgot about Veronica with the sweep, but as you can see there, we probably would have gotten through on that, because the range unit did move first. It really would have been interesting to see. Ah man, how did I forget about the sleep effect? I literally didn't have to put him there. That was so dumb of me. Oh my god, that was so dumb. And basically what I was trying to do was just loop the Deadeye, but man, forget this. This is annoying. Let's move to another one. All right, let's do this again. We're gonna use the team one more time here. I mean, well, I probably don't even need them on this map, this strategy, because this is sometimes when you lose the first one, you get a pretty easy one, and this is what that is. So basically, I'm just gonna send Robin up there, and he will take everyone out pretty much. Let me just explain a little bit more in the meantime of what I was trying to do with the strategy. You really need the times pulse 4 so that you can loop your special. Deadeye is 3 cooldown, so it's a lot easier to loop and then be able to pierce damage reduction with the pulse rally spectrum from Brave Robin. So it really just works hand in hand, since range units can't use breath skills, which is unfortunate. Which is why you probably want to go with an infantry melee unit to be able to do this strategy. Not only because you don't have to worry about threats from melee range, because you don't have a, as you can see with the team layout here, I don't have a save unit. So if Rebecca was like threatened by a melee unit, she'd basically just get hit and die, because there's just no way around it.
Here we go.
Potentially you could use that to set up the vantage strategy if you know that she's not going to die, but that's a gamble that you probably don't want to do. So yeah, this strategy is really like best utilized by infantry, sword, infantry axe, lance, whatever, as long as they can equip vantage. Speed preempt is a little bit sus.
I will not stop.
That's such a...
Which way?
Let me just say this properly. Speed preempt is a little bit more unfavorable or unpredictable, because speed creep is a thing. So I'd rather just go with the regular old vantage, because it's an HP condition as opposed to a speed check, which is a lot harder to meet consistently. So the HP condition, you get there, get the 75, and then you're able to just do it. Which is personally why I prefer regular old vantage over speed preempt, and why Brave Violet fell off so hard, because speed checks, she just can't meet them anymore. Really interested to see what they do with her refine. Probably just make it, well, she's gonna get stats, but I don't know. It's hard for her to just keep up. And even if they just give her stats alone, that playstyle in a couple of months after her refine won't even, be able to work, because she's just not going to be fast enough. But yeah, you really want to use this with like an infantry melee unit, because the one range is great for them, but the downside is that not a lot of infantry melee units are able to vantage and pierce DR, or not even vantage, just pierce DR in general. You have Diamond, you have Brave Robin, you have Flavia, and who else? The Merida that just got her refine. Some of them are like able to cut damage reduction in half, but you don't want that. You want to get the one shot, especially against things like Brave Claude, not Wind Tribe Claude. You want to hit first, and you want to get the damage. You want to hit first, and you want to pierce the damage reduction. Otherwise, you're as good as dead. So it makes no sense. So that's like what, 5 units that I just named, or 3, I think, that are able to do this type of playstyle. I do have a Merida, the OG Merida that just got her refined, but she needs a lot of investments to actually make this work. And then you got to figure out which special. You probably want to go with Vital Astra, since her weapon has a 10% true damage condition based off speed, which will stack with Vital Astra. But you sometimes will still gonna miss the kill, because she just doesn't do enough damage sometimes, which is weird. I think that's probably like a merge issue for me. I don't have a Merida that's highly invested. Maybe I'll put some skills on her and see how that works. But at the end of the day, you still have to then do this setup here to get the chip damage, reciprocal aid, and then get into vantage range. It's a whole thing. Maybe you could avoid it if you get her to vantage range off Vital Astral alone, and then Speed Smoke, you get damage reduction that way, and then survive one combat and then be able to pierce damage reduction on your follow-up attack. But that leaves her vulnerable to one-hit KOs, which are a thing. So I think she's very good for it. OG Merida, if you have one that's heavily invested, you can probably try her out. But aside from her, I think Brave Robin, I was really thinking Brave Robin would be the next best option, but without the ability to run Times Pulse, it just doesn't work for him. Times Pulse 4 really makes the whole thing just work. Without it, it's gonna fail, because you're gonna miss the ability to pierce the damage reduction in one of the combats, and you'll die. But anyways, GG's.